I'm not sure if people realize how helpful it is to teach kids to bake. It does require a lot of patience, and it requires you to slow down. And I think that these are really valuable lessons that my mom taught me through baking. Hey everybody, welcome back to Coop de Grill. I'm Chef Cheri, and today I'm going to be making you refrigerator pistachio dessert right out of my mom's holiday cookbook. I hope you enjoy it as much as we do. All right, let's get started with our ingredients. Today we'll need flour, a stick of butter that's warmed, some pistachios to chop, a block of cream cheese warmed, powdered sugar, a container of Cool Whip, 2 packages of pistachio pudding, and 3 cups of milk. Let's get started. First, we're going to preheat our oven to 350 degrees and get that going because we're going to bake this crust that I'll show you how to make right now. So in a small bowl, we need to mix up some of our ingredients. We're going to start with our flour, so we need 1.25 cups of that. My mom taught me that this is the correct way to measure, so of course, this is kind of how I do everything, is whatever she taught me. You've seen Coop de Grill measurements on here quite often. This one, I believe, does need to be measured correctly in order for it to taste right. So here we go, 1.25 cups. Next, we're going to go ahead and put in our 1/2 cup of butter. We're going to just do this. Get all our butter off the package. You know how we feel about butter here at Coop de Grill. And I'm going to use a hand mixer to go ahead and mix this up. Hopefully my cord is long enough. What we want to do is mix this up until it is crumbly, and then we're going to stir in our pistachios. Check out this crumbly consistency. That's what you're looking for. The next thing we're going to do is chop up these pistachios. So I do not have a fancy nut chopping machine, so I'm going to use our Magic Bullet. It's super simple to use, and it should chop them fine enough for what we're doing. Now, we need 1/2 cup total of finely chopped natural pistachios. So I'm going to measure a little bit more than that. Leftovers is fine with me. I can use it as a topping. It's a little more than 1/2 cup. And we're going to go ahead and we are going to chop these babies up. So that worked pretty well for what we're doing. And we are going to go ahead and incorporate this into what is going to be our crust. We're going to measure this into our 1/2 cup measurer. You can see, like I said, this is not a nut chopping machine. So you've got some, bigger chunks and you've got some blobby bits, but like I said, this is perfectly fine for what we are using it for. If you have one of those awesome machines, feel free to use that. We're just going to put this in. We're going to go back to our handy mixer and we're going to just mix this into our crust. So now you have this beautiful little lightly green crust mixture, and we're going to press this into a 13 by 9 inch lightly greased baking dish, which I happen to have right here. Already greased. I used some avocado oil. You can use, my mom used Crisco my whole life, but you can use whatever oil you prefer to lightly grease your pan. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to just kind of put this in and try to spread it as evenly as possible. Get all of that out, yay. We're going to go ahead and we are going to pat this down, not super tight, but tight enough that it stays together as a crust for this super delicious pistachio dessert. And you're trying to get it kind of even as you go through. So if you start out with a fairly even pour, you'll end up with a fairly simple way to make it even on the bottom. Don't worry, this is a crumbly crust. So we're not looking for it to be perfect like a pie shell. It is going to be a little crumbly, but you want it to stay together. Our oven is already heated to 350 degrees, and we're going to just put this in for 20 minutes. Alrighty. Can you tell I'm using Mr. DeGrill's gloves? All right, people, we're putting this in 20 minutes. We're fairly firmly packed. Here we go. Next, we're going to start with our filling. So we need our 8 ounces of cream cheese that is softened, very soft. We're going to go ahead and put our whole block of cream cheese in, and then I'm going to go ahead and measure out 1 cup of powdered sugar. All right, we're going to add that in. We're going to cream this together until it's smooth. So this is the consistency that we are looking for. Next, we're going to fold in a half a carton of Cool Whip. And I'm just eyeballing it. That is pretty close. And it does say fold. You can, if you're in a hurry, you are welcome to go ahead and use your mixer. It does work. Okay, so by the time you're done folding this in, it should look something like this consistency. This is our first layer in our pistachio dessert, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to set this off to the side and wait for our crust to come out of the oven. Our next step is to combine our pistachio pudding with our milk. And we wanted 3 cups of milk. Alrighty. And we're going to go ahead and we are going to just add that right in. Look at that, it's so pretty and green. Oh, I love this dessert because it's really good, but also because it's green. I think it's so pretty. All right, and that's really all that needs. It just needs to be combined together. Okay, so we've just pulled our crust out of the oven. It baked for 20 minutes exactly at 350 degrees, and look, it's a little bit golden around the edges. It's still nice and hot, and you can see where it cracked. That's okay. This is what we want it to look like. Next, we're going to go ahead and let our crust cool. This will probably take about 30 minutes. All right, our crust is nice and cool. You can see how beautiful it is. And the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and put on our layer of cream cheese and powdered sugar. And you're just kind of gonna blop it on because we're gonna spread it out semi-flat. We'll see how good I am at this today. We are just gonna go ahead and kind of smooth this out, hopefully without injuring our crust. Remember I said the crust is pretty crumbly, so you want to be gentle when you're doing this process. We're going to do the same technique we did with our first layer. In an ideal world, you would have made this after your crust was cool and you would just pour it over the top. But that's just not where we're at. I've done it both ways. It does not change how it tastes. It doesn't change the consistency. So again, we're just going to kind of plop this onto our first layer and get it smoothed out as even as we can. Look at that, it's so pretty. I just loved layered desserts. They're so gorgeous. So one of the techniques, just as a tip that my mom taught me, because I am dangerous and rough, is to put a hot pad underneath your baking dish. So when you're sliding it around, it stays fairly slip resistant, so you don't end up with your whole pan on the floor, which I have done. Next, we're going to go ahead and add our Cool Whip, and we're going to actually top it with our leftover chopped pistachios. You can use whole pistachios if you wish. It is definitely a preference. I think that the chopped ones look a little bit prettier. So the reason we used half the container originally is because we're going to use the other half right now. Same technique all the way through, as we just kind of put our layers on and spread them out. Like I said, you want to be fairly gentle. Of all the things we have added to this, the Cool Whip is the thinnest consistency, so be super gentle with your Cool Whip. It's not a super thick layer. Remember, we have half a container in here already. So if you like more Cool Whip, or you want to make your own homemade whipped cream or whipping cream, you absolutely can do that. This is just a really nice light dessert. So the idea is to get all that pretty green covered up. And then Mom always said flat was very boring. So her thing was, you take your spatula, and you just kind of do this. Plop it. It looks almost like a meringue when you do it like this. You know, just give it a little bit of texture. And this is what our top now looks like. We're going to then take our little bit of shredded pistachio and we're going to lightly dust the top. And like I said, I do not have a fancy chopper, so you're going to end up with a little bit of these big pieces. I'm going to just take them out because I don't like how they look. They do not taste any different. Make it as decorated as you'd like. Something else I've done is I've added sprinkles to the top. I have added glitter to the top, edible glitter. You can do whatever you would like with this, but here is our finished product. So we're done with all of our toppings. This is the beautiful dessert that we have. What we're going to do is put it in the fridge for at least 6 hours. You can put it in overnight if you're using this as a holiday recipe or you have friends coming over. And we'll do a taste test as soon as it's nice and cool. All right, so it has been several hours. Our pistachio dessert is out of the fridge, and we're going to do a taste test. Okay, so we are ready for our taste test. Let's see how our crust cuts. Ooh, yeah. So our crust cut very nicely, so it is nice and a little bit crispy and crumbly. I've pulled out one slice. It's kind of funny. It looks so weird when there's only one. And I'm going to go ahead and give this a try. It's absolutely perfect. This is exactly how it should taste. It's sweet, but not too sweet. It's a light, delicious dessert. And if you like pistachios, you're going to love making this for your family. Well, I hope you enjoyed making refrigerator pistachio dessert with me today. It's really fun sharing these recipes out of my mom's cookbook with everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe and drop a comment. It helps grow our channel. I'm not a fan of doing dishes, so I rewash the bowl I'm using. I'm sure you've seen Mr. DeGrill use about 100 bowls in one episode. So he's our dishwasher, and when he's not here, I'm not a fan. So if you guys have watched me do any other video, you know it's hard for me to be gentle. So this is a challenge.